welcome to everyone who's here for a very great day for the BC Maritime Employers Association and the ILWU. This is clearly a landmark in terms of our ability to provide well-trained, motivated, and multi-skilled ratings for our industry. So we're very pleased that you come out here to recognize this event, and we have some people of prominence here who have been also not only participants but also great assistants to the BCMEA in its endeavors to advance the interests of the Asia-Pacific Gateway. We have the MP for Richmond, Delta Richmond East, Carrie Lynn Finlay. We have the Minister of Transportation for the Government of British Columbia, Mary Pola. We have the Minister of Higher Education, Mr. John Yap, I believe. And we also have my chairman, Mr. Brad Usherman, our Vice President of Training, Safety and Recruitment, John Beckett. And that pretty much concludes the list. So what we're going to have is we're going to hear from each of these individuals in terms of their views on the role of this center in providing a better quality of training and training opportunity for our workplace. And we're going to start with a video, because all these presentations seem to involve videos, from Minister Lisa Raitt. And those of us who participated in the bargaining of the last collective agreement know Lisa quite well. She was part of our intervention series with our negotiations, but it did end well for all of us. So if you turn your attention to the video screens, there's some in there, and there's one up here as well. We'll hear from Minister Lisa Raitt, Minister of Labour for the Federal Government of Canada.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really sorry that I can't be with you all this afternoon, because I think this is such a great event that underscores how Canada is keeping pace and, in fact, doing better than the rest of the world in competition and innovation. You know, I really do believe that it's the skills of our workers that drive innovation and competition in our Canadian workplace. And I've often said, you know, the workplace really is the engine room of Canada's economy. But I also know that when employees are better trained, they're safer employees. So that's why it's so important to make sure we do the best that we can to ensure that our Canadian employees have the right tools, they have the right techniques, and of course they have the best training they can, which brings us to today's announcement. No matter what work we're in, no matter what field we're in, people have the expectation and should have the expectation to be able to return home work healthy and safe at the end of the day. And I know that through the work that you're going to have at this training center, we're going to make sure that the next generation of Canadians, and indeed this generation of Canadians, are going to be returning home safe because of the wonderful training you're going to provide. When this project is complete, this center in the BCMEA will be proving that Canada is a world leader on training, and we're a world leader on trade. And I know that all these endeavors are going to go further to help make sure the world knows just how great our Asia-Pacific Gateway is. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I wish I was there, in honesty, but I'm here in Ottawa today, but still sending you my warm greetings from a cold place and wishing you the best for the great success that I know undoubtedly this project will bring.
So we're going to move on, and we will be hearing from Mary Lou Finlay, who is the, Carrie Lynn Finlay. I have Martha Hall Finlay. I'm on the brain here. Carrie Lynn Finlay, the MP for Ellen Curly Brown, right? But just to reiterate, none of this would have happened today without the support of the Board of Directors of BCMEA, who've shown significant vision and significant commitment from the Wallet Department, which is where it counts, and also for the commitment and the cooperation and we are seeing and building on from the International Longshore Workers Union. Certainly the 8-year collective agreement has given us an opportunity, I think, to prove to each other that we can make this thing work in a way that not only protects the interests and the aspirations of the Longshore Union and its traditions, which are as important to them as some of our concerns around commercial interests are to us, and it's a balancing of those two sets of interests which I think is going to drive this industry. I mean, the tremendous opportunity for the BCMEA and its employers and the ILWU to build a better model to dominate what happens on this coast in terms of provision of labor and the provision of training and benefit services, etc. And and we certainly are very happy to see the ILW here today. Thanks for being here, Mark, Rob, all the rest of you guys. Carrie Lynn?
Well, thank you very much, and Minister Pollock, distinguished guests and friends. As the Member of Parliament for Delta Richmond East, it is a privilege for me to welcome you here today to the heart of Canada's Asia-Pacific Gateway and to what is, I believe, the most dynamic part of British Columbia. I was glad we could listen to Minister Raitt's video, and I spoke to her yesterday in Parliament. She was very pleased that I could be here with you today. As a Member of Parliament, I am indeed excited about the potential that the Gateway can bring to this community, and I'm committed to working to ensuring that the Gateway brings economic life and advantage to the people who live in Delta and Richmond East. The challenge here in the heart of the Gateway, of course, is to ensure that we enhance community livability at the same time as we develop Gateway infrastructure and port efficiency. We are up to that challenge, and this is all part of this today. First, let me start by congratulating the staff and team at the BC Maritime Employers Association for this achievement today and for your contributions to Canada's Asia-Pacific Gateway. Your work is an essential element to British Columbia's long-term growth and prosperity, and indeed all of Canada. It is a privilege for me to be here also on behalf of Prime Minister Harper, Ed Fast, Minister of International Trade, and Minister for the Asia-Pacific Gateway, and our Conservative government. Our government's top priority has been and continues to be the economy, the creation of jobs, economic growth, and long-term prosperity for the benefit of all Canadian families. We believe that expanding and diversifying our trading relationships around the world is one of the best ways to achieve these goals. In fact, we believe trade is the new stimulus. We invested heavily in critical transportation and knowledge infrastructure to position Canada to lead the world in its economic performance. Our investments have paid off. Since July of 2009, we've seen the creation of 900,000 net new Canadian jobs. That's quite an achievement. Going forward, however, our government believes that trade as the new stimulus needs to be freer. We need more open trade around the world because it's critical for the global economic recovery. I say this because Canadians understand our proud history as a trading nation, and for good reason. Trade represents 1 out of every 5 Canadian jobs. It drives 64% of all of Canada's economic activity every year. Moving products, resources, and people in and out of the country efficiently is essential to our economic well-being. In recent years, we've made unprecedented investments in expanding and modernizing our gateway and trade corridor. The result, we've made it easier for you to move goods between North America and Asia. Canada's Asia-Pacific Gateway offers the most direct marine route between Asia and North America. For example, products shipped from Shanghai to Prince Rupert arrive at the port 2 days earlier than those shipped to Los Angeles. By shipping to Vancouver, shippers can save 1 day sailing time over shipping to Los Angeles. And Canada's Pacific Gateway keeps shipments moving. On-dock rail service allows for reduced transit time for quick delivery, with direct and secure service to Chicago and other major North American centers. Dwell times at Port Metro Vancouver and the Port of Prince Rupert are shorter than other North American West Coast ports. Combined sailing and dwell time add up to a saving of 4 transit days for goods traveling to Chicago, and this means cost savings for shippers and consumers. That's why we've embarked upon the most ambitious trade expansion plan in Canadian history. While the United States will always be our largest and most important trading partner, we know that we must deepen our trade and investment ties with the most dynamic and fastest growing economies around the world. Let me give you a few examples of how we're doing just that. Our most promising opportunities lie in the Asian communities and economies. We're strengthening our ties with China, which is now Canada's second largest trading partner. Over the last 10 years, trade between Canada and China has more than tripled. We're also progressing toward a deeper trade relationship with high-growth India. In fact, the Canada-India Joint Study Report concluded that free trade could boost Canada's economy by at least $6 billion a year. That translates to almost 40,000 new jobs in our country. We've recently begun free trade negotiations with Japan, the world's third largest economy, and we're in exploratory talks with Thailand, our largest trade partner in Southeast Asia. Our efforts to deepen Canada's trade and investment ties in the fast-growing Asia-Pacific region are also being facilitated by strategic investments and partnerships in the Asia-Pacific Gateway. These investments are positioning Canada as the gateway of choice between Asia and North America. However, we do risk losing our geographical advantage if we don't improve our transportation infrastructure to ensure our goods and resources enter and leave Canada efficiently. And that's why, since 2006, our government has invested $1.4 billion into Asia-Pacific Gateway infrastructure projects, an amount that has been leveraged to almost $4 billion with the participation of provincial and municipal governments and the private sector. As a result of these strategic investments and partnerships, Canadian exports to the Asia-Pacific region have reached record levels. For example, in 2011 alone, Canadian exports to China increased an impressive 27%. These investments are also generating new business opportunities, improving the flow of traffic, enhancing the efficiency of the transportation system, attracting investments, and boosting Canada's global competitiveness. We want to help ensure that BC ports continue to reap the benefits of our ever-growing trade throughout the Asia-Pacific region. We're moving quickly because there's no time to waste. In what remain challenging economic times around the globe, more must be done to improve the flow of Canada's much sought-after commodities through our BC ports. Rest assured, our government will continue to build on Canada's competitive advantage. These gateway investments I've talked about today are just a part of an incredible adventure that we all refer to as trade. That adventure is not for the faint of heart. It's not for skeptics or scoffers. What Canada needs right now is more champions for trade, champions like yourselves, and I'm so pleased to see so many attending here today. Our economy depends on an ambitious, expansive global view of Canada, not on a small, timid, and outdated one. That's exactly why we're making the critical investments that I've talked about today. This grand adventure we're on is going to be an incredible journey. So what I ask of you is this. Please join with me in living up to that grand vision of Canada that inspired previous generations of Canadians. The same grand vision that continues to inspire millions of people around the world who hope upon hope to one day become Canadians. What an opportunity that is. Once again, thank you for the invitation to speak here today, and thank you so very much. Congratulations on what is going to be such exciting part of this growth, training for the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie Lynn. Our next speaker will be no stranger to you, the Minister Mary Pollock, who is a person of significant personal principle, which she's maintained over a number of years. She's also going to be speaking about the jobs plan, so we expect some gold stickers. As we have, in the year 2012, hired over 950 people were brought into our industry. Over 200 of those were of the female persuasion. We have a bit of a rocky road behind us in terms of gender representation in our industry, but I'm pleased to tell you we are now designated by the federal government as an employer leader in their variety of their diversity targets. So we're doing something right, and we're doing that with the cooperation and the support, although it's not always a smooth level of support, with the ILWU. And if it wasn't for that institution, we would not be making the progress we're making. So, Minister Pollock.
Thank you, Andy. And with that kind of introduction, let me begin by just paying tribute to the kind of partnership that brings us here today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the significance of the partnerships represented here today. But Andy, gave you the overarching view, and what he says is true. It is the result of the kind of work and effort that BCMEA has undertaken that we've been able to achieve so much. But I cannot highlight enough for you the challenge that has presented. BCMEA is an incredibly diverse group. There are passionate interests. And yet, this diverse group has been able to come together, see a common goal, and be able to pull in all those different interests to support something that is so very important. And indeed, Andy, BCMEA truly are leaders, not just in British Columbia, but across Canada. And you do have that to be very, very, very proud about. Some problems are really nice to have. Too much chocolate is a nice problem to have. Too much money is a nice problem to have. Too many jobs is also a nice problem to have. But it is one that we must address. I'm joined here today by my colleague John Yap, who is the Minister of Advanced Education. Advanced Education, thank you. I knew I was going to get it wrong. I asked him twice to repeat it. Advanced Education, Innovation and Technology. He recognizes, because of the work that he's doing, that we are in a race to meet the challenge, the nice problem that we have. 1 million jobs in the next 10 years, 43% of those that will be requiring skills training. What do you do about that? He's been working hard since the fall, announcing all sorts of different investments that will affect various parts of our industry groups around the province. It amounts to about $500 million a year that you're going to see going into those skills and training programs. But there is more still to be done. There is more to be done that can't be done by government alone. Today, what you're seeing is the result of the partnerships that we have with a federal government that has that vision for the Asia-Pacific Gateway, with an employers association who really gets the need to have a handle on this and provide the training, provide the opportunities for skilled workers. This is the culmination of work that began as a vision at what I find hard to believe was the turn of the century. 2001, if you tried to imagine what the future would look like, you might not have imagined this. We've gone from having 70% of British Columbia's trade with the US to now having roughly equivalent trade with all of Asia and the United States. And Carrie Lynn spoke to it. The reason is 3 words: location, location, location. But that opportunity is not going to be here forever. We are at risk of losing it if we don't rise up to the challenge. If we don't rise up to work together in partnership to achieve these kinds of initiatives that will provide the skills and training that our people need so that they can be the ones grasping those opportunities. It wouldn't happen without that vision. When the Pacific Gateway was envisioned, there was a recognition that you weren't going to achieve the kind of investments you needed if government did it by themselves. We needed industry, and industry was there. The federal government, industry, the provincial government working together have been able to come to a place where we can see that future in front of us. It's happening here on the ground. It's happening in the number of jobs that you're seeing created right here. And now we are going to see the future unfold as this wonderful opportunity for training and providing for those skills leading into the coming years moves us even forward, more forward down that path. Here is the opportunity that the Asia-Pacific Gateway envisioned back at the turn of this new century. And here is the opportunity for us to continue these strong partnerships, knowing that that is the way we are going to grasp those opportunities, not just for British Columbia, but as British Columbia takes its place leading Canada as that gateway to Asia. The future looks very, very bright, and it's because of the work we can do together. Thank you so very much to BCMEA, to our federal partners. This really is a day to celebrate the partnerships that advance our country and our province. Thank you so very much.
Minister. Very well chosen words. I'd like now to introduce to you the chairman of the BC Maritime Employers Association, Mr. Brad Eshelman. He has been part of the group. He's a long-serving board member, and there's most of my board is here today, and certainly you know who you are. I have your address. And I just want to personally thank you for the support you've shown in advancing this project. It was a big leap for us, a big leap for this industry, but it's been great, and I think it will more than repay both the time and the significant amount of money. You're looking at about $16 million when it's all rolled in to provide the kinds of benefits to our industry that I'm sure will flow. We train over 2,750 people per year as the BCMEA, and to consolidate that training into one location, to provide the best in terms of trainers and equipment. That's what we're about, and the results, I think, are beginning to speak for themselves. It should be remembered that the people who actually do the hands-on training are ILW members, and they have formed a tremendous core of expertise within our industry, and they've worked very, very well, I think, with the supervisory management oversight of the training department, which is led by Mr. John Beckett, from whom you'll be hearing in a few minutes. But over to Brad, the chairman of the BC Maritime Employers Association. Brad.
Thank you, Andy, and welcome everybody here today. You know, the BCMEA and I guess the employers of the longshore and the waterfront, you know, spend millions of dollars, if not $10 millions of dollars, on training every year. You know, this is going to be a state-of-the-art training facility. But I think more importantly, I believe our industry needs to be fully committed to providing safe and efficient operations at our sites. I'm going to echo some of the things that Minister Raitt said. We need to care about our employees. We need to care that they go home safe. This training facility will provide the training to improve the awareness and improve safe operating procedures for our employees. I think that's very important. We also need to deliver a quality service to our customers. This training facility also will provide trained employees to provide those services to our customers. And we need to be efficient. We need to be competitive. We're competing in a world market these days. Our resources that we're handling and exporting are competing in a world market. So we need to provide efficient, productive services. And I believe this training center is another step to meeting those objectives. Now, I'm going to borrow another comment. This is from Robin Sylvester at Port Metro Vancouver. He's talked a lot about collaboration. So my ask here today with everybody is, we need to continue to work together, be that governments, be that our unions, be that in the employers, and also our customers. We need to work together to keep Canada competitive and to keep jobs in Canada for our future, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. And just finally, what I'd like to do is thank Andy Smith, the BCMEA, a specific thanks to John Beckett, the BCMEA management and team for bringing this together. I believe this is going to be like I mentioned earlier, a state-of-the-art training facility, possibly like none other in the Lower Mainland, that's going to provide and meet the objectives that we need for the future. So thank you very much, and thank you, Andy, and your team.
Thanks very much, Brad. Now, you're actually going to hear from someone who's going to tell you what's actually going to happen here in rather close to the ground terms. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. John Beckett. John is the Vice President for Training, Safety and Recruitment for the BCMEA. And John has done just an amazing job. When you look at the areas of his responsibility, training, a huge job. We spend tens of millions of dollars as we go along training and upgrading skills in this industry. Safety, we have an oversight role. The terminals themselves carry the major responsibility for safety. We have an oversight role, and recruitment. And I don't think it would be a secret to anyone sitting here that recruitment has often been a fraught issue on the waterfront, and that has been pretty much put behind us. We now have a system which provides good candidates, well worth investing in terms of skills acquisition, and we do that job through the ILW trainers and through John's crack troops of supervisory and managerial training people. So let's hear from John as to what exactly he's going to get done at this training center. John?
Thank you very much, Andy. And welcome everybody here this afternoon. As Vice President of Training, I had the exciting task of assembling first the purchasing team and now the development team to take this training center concept from dream to reality. It's no small feat purchasing 4.7 acres of land, which is located directly behind us, especially in Vancouver, where industrial land is a diminishing commodity. A lot of work by a lot of people in a very short period of time has gone into getting us to this point, and I would like to recognize a few of them. I'd first like to thank the BCMEA customer members and the BCMEA board for their support of this project, both financially in terms of their commitment to our drive to improve the training and recruitment of waterfront employees. I'd also like to thank my boss, Mr. Andy Smith, for his leadership and guidance in getting us here and ongoing leadership for the completion of this and operation of this training center. And Andy's already said it a number of times, but I can't say enough thanks to the ILW leadership in embracing this new training site and continuing to work with us as our training partner to ensure our competency-based training programs are the best in town, if not the world. My next round of thanks goes to the team we've assembled. We've had a great deal of cooperation, long hours and tight deadlines, met by BCMEA internal staff from every department, by Brad Prince of MMM Group, who's our principal engineering consultant, Brian Dagenau of Dagenau Planning Consultants, John Leckie of Eggleston Young, Angelique Bahadasine of Keenan Blakely, and Brian Mackay of Thurber Engineering, and Randy Neal of DNA Architects. That was the team that got us to this point to ensure that we had we didn't miss anything. We're not land developers. We do many other things. We don't have specific expertise in those areas. And those individuals helped us to get to where we are today, and will continue to help us to ensure that this project comes in on budget and on time. We've also had a very positive experience with the City of Richmond through the subdivision and development variance process that got us basically a 50-meter height variance on this site, so that we could put not only the crane that we're about to purchase, but future cranes if we decide to do that. The location provides us with perfectly central location to conduct our training, and we look forward to utilizing the excellent transit and other amenities Richmond has available. Finally, and I don't think he's here today, a big thank goes out to Mr. Jack Sequin of Mitchell Island Holdings, or more famously known as the guy that makes English baked cookies, who basically sold us the land. He worked with us he had 6 acres for sale and 4 acres for sale. We were able to work with him to get to the 5 acres. And so a big thank goes out to Jack, who, frankly, from my perspective, moved mountains to get what we needed. So for those unfamiliar with what we do and the scale of the training that we do, in 2012, the BCMEA delivered training to 2,700 employees, 900 of those which were brand new to this industry. We do this in all BC ports and on all of the pieces of equipment associated with the movement of goods. Due to the nature of our business, where goods can show up for loading or unloading in a very little notice, we're required to train some of our 38 different skills ratings during production and on terminal equipment, which can have a negative impact on productivity and throughput. This training center will substantially improve all of our metrics, as it will move more of our training out of production into a controlled environment where training can be completed in a safe and more efficient manner. As mentioned earlier, this site offers a centrally located place for training activities. We're midway between the Fraser River and Deltaport and the terminals in the Burrard Inlet. The outright purchase of the site provides a permanent home for our existing equipment, which includes the equipment behind me and other equipment which is currently in place, such as forklifts and bulldozers that are currently being used in production training at the moment. And a new pedestal ship's crane that will dramatically improve our ability to provide just-in-time training of our ship's crane program. The crane will be located directly behind me, will be critical in getting break bulk ships in and out of the terminals as quickly and efficiently as possible. The ship's crane rating is also a stepping stone skill for other ratings, such as the dock gantry operator, who operate the large orange and white container cranes that you'll see out at Deltaport and along the Burrard Inlet. And then on a particular note, I'd like to thank Leaper, who's the manufacturer of the crane that we purchased, for their work in making the procurement process smooth and for their dedication, certainly their professionalism and engineering detailedness, which we know will lead to success of the crane delivery and installation in August. So in conclusion, I just want to conclude off to say that the real work really now begins. As of today, the development contract will be officially put out to tender. This contract includes the installation of hydro, cable, water, and sewer services, site grading and preparation and paving, classroom foundation work, and the driving of stone columns and pouring of foundations for the crane base and its jib rest. The contract will be awarded in early March. The construction begins in April in order for the crane and the jib to be completed in early June in advance of the crane's arrival from Austria in July. Late July will also see substantial completion of the facility, which will allow for the arrival of the reining equipment that is spread around the Lower Mainland in production, also the training aids that we have in production, for a grand opening sometime in September, and I hope to see all of you there when we actually have an official ribbon cutting and you can actually see what a training site looks like. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. And that pretty much wraps up our event for today. We do have, there is such a thing as a free lunch, and there is one right there for those of you who would like to participate. Just in closing, I'd like to remind everybody here of the scale of what we're talking about. We're spending $16 million on this training center. Our bulk operators, Neptune, Kinder Morgan, Fiberco, PCT, are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in this port. There is a significant amount of money moving into the port facilities, which is driving employment and driving ancillary business revenues in this part of the world. You know, the people who are sitting here and listening and participate in this industry, we cannot sit on our hands forever if we're going to watch the attacks upon such things which are close to our commercial interests, such as log and timber exports, and the more recent attack on coal, which is becoming the bête noire, apparently, of an energy source, even though most of what we do here is metallurgical coal, the attack on tanker safety. And I think all of us here have to remember that those attacks are attacks on the bread and butter and the families of the people who are involved in this industry. And we have to stand up, we have to be counted, we have to do what we can to protect our way of life and our way of making a living from these, I think, somewhat irrational approaches to the conduct of this business. So I'd say that this is a great day for the BCMEA, it's a great day for our industry, but no great days are unalloyed. In every great event, there's also elements that we have to make sure that we maintain to maintain the business that we're in, the employment that we have, and the support for our families and our children going forward. So there is a free lunch. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you very, very much for coming out today. I appreciate it.